What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports, Life and Politics T.V. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's number one couch detective, and I'm here for the news. And here today, I'm going to go over several news clips, but I'm going to start out with a little bit of sports. I haven't been covering a lot of sports here lately, but before I would do a lot of playoff previews and NFL playoff previews, but I've kind of fallen out of favor with sports just a tad. And the reason for that is living in Vegas, I understand now how manipulated it is. I always knew it. We all kind of know sports is manipulated. But watching it now, you just realize how much more manipulated it is. And not only that, the brand of basketball and football is not nowhere near as entertaining as it used to be. If you watch these last NBA finals, and congratulations to the Boston Celtics, they were the better team, and they were the best team all season and was favored to win the championship. So this is not a huge surprise. But if you actually watch these finals, the amount of bad three-point shots that teams are taking are ridiculous. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I think Tatum shot 27% from three. And if I'm not mistaken, Jaylen Brown shot like 24% from three. And it was no better for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Their percentages was in the 20s too. Maybe even the teens. It was that bad. But yet teams keep jacking them up. And thank God that Boston had a better defense, because if they would have played a team who just got downhill and really pressed the issue, this could have been a tougher series for them because they did not shoot the ball well at all. I like Tatum and Brown. And, I would say Tatum probably should have won the MVP. 50 feet, I think Tatum averaged more points. I think he averaged more rebounds and he averaged more assists. Maybe they giving it to Brown for the defensive purposes, but I mean, it's a tomato. I would have gave it to Tatum, but either way, they close to the same player, but Brown, I think Tatum was a little bit better, and I think he showed it in this final game that he's a slightly better player because Brown won Eastern Conference Player in the playoffs against Indiana, and then he won the Finals MVP. In the NBA Finals, neither one of these guys played great, but they were just a better team. And Dallas lost, lack of experience. And I will guarantee you, people like P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Lively, and so on and so forth, for all these type of players, they didn't train for a whole championship run in the offseason. This was a surprise. You got to realize them people was on Washington Wizards, and the other guy was on the Charlotte Hornets. So they were not prepared for what came in this playoff run. And you could tell a lot of these guys just ran out of gas. And it was just a lot of jacking up of threes. You down 12 and PJ Washington just run up to the line and shoot a contested three. It's really a bad brand of basketball. And if you're a Maverick fan or whatever you are, Cowboys, you should never get too down on this, man. I always tell people, sports is for entertainment purposes only. Don't get too far down on yourself. And as you can see, like I said, congratulations to the Boston Celtics. This is their 18th championship. I think in 2008, on this exact date, they won the championship. And I think it was Jason Tatum in the post-game celebration was saying anything is possible, like Kevin Garnett. I'm not saying it's all staged or orchestrated, but what I am saying, there's a lot of coincidences. You can take from that what you want to. But congratulations to Jaylen Brown, Finals MVP. Remind me a lot when Andre Iguodala won it. Even though I think he's a better player than Iguodala, but I thought Curry should have won that clearly. It's a lot harder to put the ball in the basket and create assists and create for other teammates. And I thought Tatum did that. But Brown is a great player in his own right. But yeah, congratulations to the Boston Celtics. I'm not going to go on and on about this, but I'm going to move on to the next clip. Sports is for entertainment purposes only, you guys. Don't get too up or too down on it. And living in Vegas, a lot of this stuff is manipulated. I know this from doing some three-leg parlays and betting. My goodness. Let's take a look at this. How black voters view Trump and Biden. Now, Joe Biden has lost a lot of support in the Negro community. There's no doubt about that. And I think at this point, it's gotten so bad, they've started to lie about the numbers. They'll tell you that more black people are supporting, but they don't want to tell you the real numbers. Because every black person I damn near talk to, either they don't like Biden or they have completely flipped over to Trump. At this point, to me, it's 60-40. 60% still voting Democrat and 40% then flip to Republican. Because remember, it used to be about 95-5. Yeah, it was the numbers were 95% voting Democrat, 5% Republican. So now the numbers have completely taken a turn for the worse with the Democrats. Well, let's take a look at the clip. This clip, how black voters view Trump and Biden.
Donald Trump made a fresh pitch to black voters in the battleground state of Michigan over the weekend. CBS News' executive director of elections and surveys, Anthony Salvanto, joins us now. Anthony, it's great to see you. We've been hearing so much about how key groups might vote in November. But can you tell us what this poll says about how they're thinking about whether their lives will be impacted, whether they will be better off depending on who wins?
Yes, because look, we're in that part of the campaign. We start talking about polls and demographic breaks out of them, right? So here's our latest. These are the support numbers among black voters, among women. You see Joe Biden doing very well among black voters.
And personally, this is just my opinion. That number is closer to in the 30s than it is 18. I'm telling you, there's no way. But even down that percent is a guaranteed loss for the Democrats, and they know it.
Only this 2020 numbers, but high among women. Again, not quite in this 2020 numbers, but still a majority. We wanted them to put a little context around this and ask, well, do people think in these terms about whether or not they'd be better off? Let me show you this. If Joe Biden wins, do people think his policies will make things better for? Here are some key Democratic groups, right? And by and large, if you're voting for Joe Biden, yeah, this isn't a big surprise. You, by and large, think that things will be better for young people as opposed to the same, certainly not worse in your mind, right? For black voters, they think things will be better in majority. But take a look at...
Let me see. Did you see what he just did? He skipped over the white people, which is astounding. There was a time where politics were completely focused on white people. I can't understand their logic of it. They don't want to focus on that because they know losing the black vote is a guaranteed loss. But he went from young people straight to black people. Watch it one more time.
For young people as opposed to the same, certainly not worse in your mind, right? For black voters, they think things will be better in majority. And take a look at this. If you're voting for Donald Trump, if you're for Trump, you think things are going to be better for just about everyone.
And as you can see, them numbers are devastating. 71%, 71, 69, 66, 27, 27, 26. I mean, you look at those numbers and you realize that the Democrats don't have a snowball's chance in hell. And don't forget, Biden has become the Tin Man. He's a robot that needs to be oiled up just to wave. Yeah, they're in a lot of trouble, but they've been in trouble for a long time and they know it. That's why all these charges against Trump, they've been trying to trump up these charges for the longest time. Even if he was guilty of this, what he was doing is par for the course for politicians.
Group that we listed, and by very sizable numbers, better for young people, better for Hispanic voters, better for black voters, etc. This is important, Luis, because I want to go back to the Biden numbers here. I think I'm going to keep an eye on these, especially things like, will things be better as opposed to just the same for some of those key groups, like young people? Let's see if those better numbers can go up a little higher too, because that's what people are going to see as a transactional thing for their vote. Do things get better for them like that?
Not a snowball's chance in hell. Things will not get better, especially for his poll numbers. There's no doubt about that. Biden support decreases in Michigan down 22 points. Support among black Michigan voters down 22 points. That is devastating for them. They haven't done anything for the black voter since civil rights movement. So they've banked on just knowing that the black voter is going to be there. We don't have to do nothing for them. They'll just vote for us. But times are changing. There's no doubt the chicken is starting to come home to roost, in the words of Malcolm X. Let's take a look at it.
Black community leaders earlier that day. Hundreds of voters turned out to the event where he vowed to decrease rampant levels of crime and spoke out against a Biden-backed bill widely blamed for mass incarceration. It's also where Trump picked up the endorsement of former Democratic Detroit Mayor.
And let me say this, less crime in black neighborhoods, does that help black people? 100%. You got to realize within a black neighborhood, no matter which neighborhood it is, there's always a working class of people who get up. They might do remedial jobs. They might do the jobs that a lot of people don't want, but there are a working class in every poor community. I don't care where you go. There's homes and apartments that people are in. Yes, are there people on what you would say on welfare, assistance, governments? Yes, but there are majority of people are working. There's no doubt about that. And they have to live in a crime-ridden area. So yes, that would help. But what would help even more is not having these black fathers out of these homes. That's very, very important. And another thing that would help with that is also more programs for the youth. No doubt about that.
Hey, Kilpatrick, he thanked the president for his freedom, saying he believes this election and the issues involved are personal to every family and every person in America. It also comes as a new USA Today Suffolk University poll found that just 54% of Black Michigan voters say they would support Biden. That is down 22 percentage points from those who say they voted for him in 2020. Clear Politics does have Biden trailing Trump by less than half a percentage point in the battleground state.
So if you trailing a half a percentage points on black voters, that is you got to realize you went from 90 plus percent down where you were winning 90-10. That's the bare minimum you was winning. You went down that from being down a point. So you went down from that to being down 49-51. That is crazy to be down a point. And it goes to show how drastic of a change that has been made within the black mindset, especially of the Negroes in America, realizing that the Democrats are basically a lost cause at this point. They're not for anybody. They're just for themselves and pushing their own policies. They don't care nothing about black people. They never have. Let's take a look at this next clip. Israeli Defense Forces soldiers were killed in southern Gaza. And I've covered this war from the very beginning. I told you that Israel they're never going to win this war. Yes, they have the stronger military. Yes, they can create a lot of destruction, but you fighting somebody who will not stop fighting to the bitter end. Even if you declare victory, you will still have to keep fighting no matter what. And it's gotten so bad that Netanyahu has dismantled his war cabinet. And we'll cover that in the next clip. But let's take a look at this clip. This Israeli Defense Force soldiers killed.
Now, and one of the deadliest days for Israeli forces since the war began. Israel saying 8 soldiers were killed in southern Gaza. Let's get right to ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge in Tel Aviv. And Tom, what is Israel saying about this attack?
Yeah, we're on one of the deadliest days of the war for Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu calling the cost heavy, but vowing to fight on. The IDF saying 8 of its soldiers were killed when Hamas hit an armored vehicle in Rafah in southern Gaza, with the Gaza Health Ministry now saying 37,000 Palestinians have died in the war. It comes as Israeli police released new video of the moment Israeli commandos rescued Noah Agamani last weekend, the 26-year-old taken by Hamas from the Nova Music Festival on October 7th. And we just got back from what organizers are calling the biggest protest in Tel Aviv since the war in Gaza began. Tens of thousands rallying for the hostages and against the Israeli government. Lee Siegel, brother of American hostage Keith Siegel, telling us the war is only bringing death and destruction, demanding Netanyahu bring Keith and the other remaining 120 hostages home. With
Tom Sufi-Burridge with those new details tonight. Thank you.
And like I said before, this was a lost cause war. Benjamin Netanyahu started this war, let this war happen because he was on the outs. He went from being in a bad situation to he can basically count the number of his days at this point of being in office. There's no way he's going to be able to maintain this over the next year. There's no way. Let's take a look at this. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dissolves his war cabinet when I was just talking about that. Let's take a look at this clip.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly in a high-stakes political fight with members of the military and his own government, and it could have big implications for the war in Gaza.
Let me say this. When you're in power in a government, I don't care what time in history it is, I don't care if you're in ancient Rome, Greece, Egypt, America, Great Britain, at any time, the last thing you want is your military not to support you anymore. That means you are cooked. And if this was a third world country, they would stage a coup. There's no doubt about that. And this country won't be what you would call a coup, but he will be ousted. There's no doubt about that.
From Tel Aviv.
As the fighting escalates in Rafah, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is at odds with his own military over a new plan to get aid to Gaza. The IDF announced on Sunday it will hold what it calls daily tactical pauses to help facilitate the delivery of food, water, and medicine to civilians. Netanyahu reportedly...
And because you got to realize when you're a military general or somebody who's into war strategy and you take on a war that you never thought you should have, because there's a lot of people within his war cabinet never thought they should have had this full scale of a war. They thought it was a no-win situation because you don't have a plan afterwards or what to do or how to do, how many soldiers are we going to lose, how many more what they would consider terrorists, what the people in Gaza or Hamas would consider freedom fighters. How many of those more people do you create by killing innocent men, women, and children? See, that's the give and take. That's the give and take in this situation.
The plan unacceptable, but the military is moving ahead, saying the first pauses are already taking place, and it's waiting for the UN to step up and increase the amount of aid being distributed throughout Gaza.
We hope to see it increase the amount of aid making its way to the humanitarian zone. So far, we haven't seen the UN take full advantage of this step.
Just hours after that announcement, Netanyahu disbanded his war cabinet.
Well, if you're the UN, why in the hell would I want to just be risking going in there when you guys are in complete disarray with your military and your president? You disbanded the war cabinet, all the generals, the military. They say the military is doing what they want to do. They said we are taking strategic pauses to let humanitarian aid in. We not supposed to just keep killing all these innocent men, women, and children. And another thing you have to realize, when these people are at war, man, there's a lot of post-traumatic stress of dead bodies, seeing your friends die, dead babies, kids. Man, that's a lot of death and destruction you putting on these people. And the military, when you in there and you're not fighting that, when you Netanyahu, even though he is ex-military and is an ex-soldier, but when you remove from that, you become what you call desensitized to that. Let's listen to what they said again.
In place, and it's waiting for the UN to step up and increase the amount of aid being distributed throughout Gaza.
We hope to see it increase the amount of aid making its way to the humanitarian zone. So far, we haven't seen the UN take full advantage of this step.
Just hours after that announcement, Netanyahu disbanded his war cabinet, a move that had been anticipated after the resignation of Benny Gantz, who criticized how the war is being managed. Moving forward, officials say the prime minister will hold smaller meetings with his security cabinet. But Netanyahu is now more politically isolated than ever, and he's relying on far-right war hawks to help hold his government together. While a growing movement here calls for early elections to pick the next generation of Israeli leaders.
We hear the chains of this love from the government and the situation.
And there's nothing worse than a war hawk. In the United States, we have war hawks. People like Lindsey Graham, that's a hawk. There's other people within the American government who are war hawks, who want to see these wars that we can't win because they thinking about the money that they can make off of this, of contracting, but they're not thinking about the death and destruction to their own. They don't care. They don't care about the death and destruction of kids dying on the other side. They don't care. But you can't have just war hawks. You have to have people with a level-headed approach when it comes to military strategy. There's something I've been like. I always talk about this on my channel. I watch so much of the military channel coming up as a kid, and I used to just love it. I watched so many documentaries on war strategy and tactics, and I got the book Art of War and all those things, man. All that shit matters, man. And you just can't be gung ho. That's a no-win situation. There's no doubt about that. But Netanyahu, his days are numbered. Let's take a look at this. Police, this is a little Vegas clip here where I stay. Police agencies arrest 12 in sex offender compliance. I mean, these people was already registered sex offenders, and these people were rounded up for not complying with what the court ordered. Let's take a look at this clip.
Metro announcing a multi-jurisdictional sex offender.
And before let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. They look like they dragged this man right out of bed. This motherfucker look like Jeffrey Epstein's cousin, Stephen Epstein. He looked like he was sweating chasing kids. Look at these group of characters. You got Amigo and Big Head Amigo. And look at Dilbert. Look at this doofus. And look at the ears on him. He can hear a kid from at least 20 miles away. He got his CDL. He look like a trucker. He got his CDL, his child driving license. Look at this nigga. Look like his name is Bernard. Bernard, keep Bernard away from the kids. Look at Screech from Saved by the Bell. Look, this man so high. He might not have been he might have been with a baby cat. Ain't no telling what he was fucking with. But you just look at these group of wackos. Look at these. He look like a Hell's Angel pedophile. I mean, you look at these group of whack jobs, man. I always celebrate when they take these people off the street. I say it should be castrating the death penalty. You take your choice. You want your dick and nuts chopped off, or do you want the death penalty? That'll solve a lot of this. That'll go to show, are you really perverse?
Verification operation. It took place last week. The 12 men on the screen arrested for failing to obey sex offender registration laws. By the end of this operation, more than 1,800 sex offenders were contacted.
I mean, that's a good thing. Thank God for that. Let's take a look at this. Crew rescues 28 people trapped on dangling upside down ride. Now, let me say this. When you get on a ride at a carnival, it's at your own risk. And when the ride gets stuck, fling your ass off 500 feet. Do I feel sorry for you? No, I do not. There's no empathy for somebody getting on a goddamn carnival ride that ain't been oiled up in a decade. You don't know what screws is loose, if anybody is. When the last time somebody tightened the bolts on this goddamn thing? Getting on one of them rides at a carnival is like walking down the street and picking up a loose bottle or can and drinking out of it. Is it hepatitis? Is it cigarette butt in that motherfucker? It was this person who had herpes on their lip. We don't know. But the risk is all on you when you take these type of risks fucking with a carny ride. Let's take a look at this clip.
The dramatic video showing the race to rescue 28 riders hanging upside down.
And listen to me. Out of those 28 people, I guarantee you one of them got talked into going on there. They was like, no, I don't really. I just rather eat some Cracker Jacks and peanuts and a couple corn dogs. Come on, let's get on there. You scared of everything. Don't let nobody. Hey, listen to me. This is a life lesson. Don't let nobody talk you into something you don't want to do. Because if not, you be upside down on a cyclone looking for a rescue.
Feet in the air at a Portland amusement park.
I was terrified.
I didn't think I was going to see right now.
Tense moments on Friday afternoon as emergency responders worked to free terrified parkgoers trapped aboard the malfunctioning atmosphere ride at Oaks Park.
You dangling upside down, blood rushing to your hammer ass head, and you sitting up there looking like a fool, hoping the damn wheel don't snap off. Look at these. I used to live in Portland, Oregon, too. There ain't nothing you can do to get me to get on a carny ride. I'm not getting on none. I wouldn't even get on a seesaw at that motherfucker. Not a regular swing. Nothing. Because ain't nobody put no oil on that motherfucker. And ain't nobody tightened the bolts since 79. Ain't nobody maintenance in that shit like that. This ain't Six Flags. And even at that, you got to be careful with those.
One of the oldest amusement parks in the country. 30 minutes.
One of the oldest amusement parks in the country. You got exactly what you deserve. But thank God that, listen to me, I am happy that nobody died or nothing, but listen to me. I guarantee they'll never get on another carny ride the rest of their life. Let me hear that one more time.
Terrified parkgoers trapped aboard the malfunctioning atmosphere ride at Oaks Park, one of the oldest amusement parks in the country. Riders stuck for nearly 30 minutes before firefighters and park staff were able to manually override the system and safely return them to the ground.
I was just so overwhelmed with everything. I gave her the biggest hug.
Authorities said one person with a pre-existing medical condition was taken to the hospital as a precaution.
I had a heart attack.
Otherwise reported no injuries.
Just last year, our crews were down here with our high angle group and trained and drilled specifically on this ride. So they were very well versed with a pre-plan of what actions to take.
Why would you have to have a pre-plan and all that shit for a ride? that's supposed to be. See what I mean? You see what I'm saying? I mean, come on, man. Look at the look. I want to see the ride again. Let me see how the ride
We're down
works.
here with our hiring goal group and trained and drilled specifically on this ride. So they were very well versed with a pre-plan of what actions to take.
The ride has been in operation since 2021, and park inspection records show no previous safety problems. The most recent inspection just 3 months ago. Tonight, relief for those who fear the outcome might be much different.
It's a really heartfelt moment, like in a weird way. Like it's really pure almost because everyone's like confessing what they want to say to their last words.
The park says the ride has been shut down until further notice. They're working with the manufacturers and state inspectors to try to figure out what caused that ride to stop. Watch breaking.
Hey man, they're gonna slather that bitch and all, and they have that bitch back up and running next month. Hey man, never get on a carny ride. Don't ever do that, cause the bolts ain't tight and ain't nobody greased it down. Let's take a look at this. Man reaction to alligator. And I talk about this all the time about white people and animals. And I always ask the same question. And you can ask people these questions too. Do white people hate animals? The answer is no. Do animals hate white people? The answer is no. But do white people respect animals? The answer is an unequivocally hell to the no, no, no. And every time they get hit by a buck or ran over by a bull named Party Bus or slapped by Yogi the Bear, it's always warranted. Let's take a look at the clip.
This video went viral when a man encountered an alligator in the middle of a lake. People watched anxiously from a distance as the man appeared scared and trapped. And as the alligator drew closer, something unexpected happened. While everyone was concerned for the man's safety, they were unaware that he had a different plan in mind. He lifted the alligator with his arms, and astonishingly, the alligator seemed unbothered. But here's the best part. The man treated the audience to a little show by hugging the alligator.
So the man picked the alligator up and start dancing with it. Well, I hope, you know what I hope he does is make a career out of dancing with alligators. I want him to be the #1 alligator two-stepper. And I would love to see when it all goes wrong. When he goes to pick up that alligator and he snaps his goddamn nose off. This is ridiculous.
Enjoying an adorable dance together.
Just absolutely absurd. It's so ridiculous. Well, let's take a look at this next clip. They say got a heat wave coming, you guys. Beat the heat. Here's your guide. #1, drink a lot of water. #2, try to stay out of the heat. It's not that complex. But let's take a look.
Oh, BJ, with the temperatures heating up this week, we have some tips to help you keep. Remember to stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water throughout the day, even before going outdoors. Adjust your schedule. Make sure you limit your time outdoors as possible. Go easy on the caffeine.
I love caffeine.
You can actually dehydrate you. Make sure to look for signs of heat-related illness like muscle cramps, headaches, or dizziness. Another tip: check on your neighbors, especially if they're elderly, to make sure they're safe.
And as we enter our next heat wave, make sure to keep our personal weather app handy. And you can call.
But there is supposed to be a nationwide heat wave. Be safe out here. Drink a lot of water. But we're going to go with this last clip of the day. U.S. Secret Service member robbed at gunpoint in Orange County. Now, when a Secret Service agent gets robbed, you ask a lot of questions. 1, was it a random act of a robbery? 2, was it a foreign entity that robbed him and was looking for something in particular to use, to copy, to manipulate, to use later down the road? We don't know. But let's take a look at the clip.
We began tonight with that Secret Service agent robbed at gunpoint in Tustin. Good evening, I'm Kathy Barra.
And I'm Michael Brown. It happened over the weekend during President Biden's trip to Southern California.
NBC4's Conan Nolan joins us live in the newsroom with what we are learning tonight. Conan.
Yeah, that's right. This happened in the city of Tustin about an hour after the conclusion of President Biden's glitzy fundraiser at the Peacock Theater near Crypto.com Saturday night in downtown LA. According to police in the city of Tustin, a United States Secret Service agent was robbed at gunpoint, and that the agent had a bag stolen from him, but that agent got off a couple of rounds from his own service weapon during the incident. The suspect got
And anytime you're a Secret Service agent or something like this and you get stolen from, not only are they looking for the suspect, they also looking to make sure you ain't a suspect, making sure you ain't let somebody take something and then you just shot a few rounds in the air to make it look like a particular type of way. Yeah, all things are on the table when you're dealing with this type of stuff. Because I would love to know what was in the bag and what was actually stolen. And were they following him? All these things, believe me, they're not asking this on the news, but all this stuff is on the table. Was he being followed? Was he being watched? Was he targeted in particular? Was it just a complete act of randomness?
away. It's unclear if he was wounded. Now, police say the robbery happened around 9:30 Saturday night at the Tustin Fields residential community that's near the intersection of Edinger and Harvard Avenues in Orange County. Some of the agents' belongings were recovered near the area. This, of course, took place the same night President Biden, Barack Obama, and Hollywood celebrities gathered in downtown LA to raise an estimated $30 million for the president's reelection campaign. Here's an image of a 2004, 2006 silver Infiniti.
Okay, they have a car. So you just wonder, did they get the license plates? 9 times out of 10, they did. When you get a Secret Service agent, Rob, sometimes they don't, they're not going to give you all the information. As you can see the clip, hey, man, they got the technology to make this shit crystal clear. When the car drove off, even if it's at a bad angle, they know how they can manipulate and find. They can. I'm telling you, whoever this is, they will find these people 9 times out of 10. Because if you got the car, that means you can get the license plate. 99% chance they got the license plate. So it's going to be interesting. I will keep up with this case because I want to know if they're going to catch these people. Because if not, that tells me something else. Something's rotten in Denmark.
The FX35 vehicle that officials say was seen leaving the scene. Tustin police is asking for anyone who saw this car or what happened to contact them. U.S. Secret Service is not saying exactly what the agent's assignment was that night. They confirmed the incident, though, to NBC News, adding that the agent was not injured or harmed in the robbery. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
Conan.
I mean, there it is. You always got to ask more pertinent questions than what they're going to ask on the news. And that's why I'm here on Sports Life and Politics TV, to read in between the lines and get to the bottom of the story. But, I just wanted to go over those clips, you guys, today. Congratulations to the Boston Celtics. Black voters now voting for Donald Trump, and so on and so forth. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been Sports Life and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective. I'm here for the news. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I just took your ass on black people now voting for Donald Trump in a wide margin ride.